at the Gaylord Texan Resort in Grapevine, Texas. So let's take a walk around. We've got the Walters booth here. Soundtracks is over there. Broadway Limited in back. And we're going to walk over here towards Brockman. It was a little busier earlier. I think most of the convention members have done their buying and have cleaned out or cleared out. And the rest is families, to the most part, with very young kids. And they're over watching the trains go around on the Lego and other layouts. So the Texas Northern Model Railroad Club. MRH advertiser, Logic Rail Technologies. We've got White River Productions, home of Railroad Model Craftsman and other fine magazines and books. T-shirt sellers. And there's the Calmback booth. It's smaller than normal, quite honestly. Hobby Manufacturers Association. I rarely ever see anybody in the booth, but maybe they get it as a meeting location. Woodland Scenics. Trains.com. They resell, buy collections and things like that. This is Harris Hobbies, one of several retailers here at the show. All sorts of t-shirts and plaques, stuff of that nature there. Got resourced rails. Here we see Otto Vondrack of Railroad Model Craftsman, probably preparing to either do an interview or a update to his Facebook page. Another vendor. Scale Trains actually brought their road trip trailer in. It was described as requiring an act of God to get it in here. None of the vendors or other exhibitors, including the railroads, were allowed to drive into the facility yesterday for load-in. You had to pack it in yourself. So they brought it in on Wednesday. And if you watch any of Ken Patterson's shows, you've probably seen Denny Yelsma's segments with all of his embroidered wear. That is not Denny. That is Denny.
I've been taking those for a while, so.
And we'll come up over here to, well, we'll pass by Ralph's Trains, which does train cars with loads, both civilian and military. So quite a few things there. Broadway Limited. And one of the neat things on their display is the pre-production sample 3D printed of their Class D Shay. And this is very noisy. Caboose Industries, home of all those ground throws, which this gentleman occupies himself with assembling throughout all the shows he goes to. Soundtracks booth, George Bogatek, and they just released the plug-and-play version of the Lunami decoder. And we have Michelle Kempema, Nancy Workman, and that's Norman from Soundtracks. Class 1 Model Works with the TWF-10 well car, the GSC HD flat car, coming soon a GP40 model, and their announcements today are the Thrall 86-foot 4 and 8-door auto parts cars,
Did you want to load for it too?
which I'm not sure where they went. They had a whole display of them out here.
Not the large one. We have the. Yep.
They went out front is where they went.
Good for you.
So you can see it in UP, Santa Fe, Milwaukee Road, Penn Central, Chicago Northwestern, and Grand Trunk. And the undecorated shell, oh. Y'all can read that as well as I can. There you go. And they've also got quite a few loads for those depressed center flat cars too. Really interesting shapes. LGB Marklin is on the other side. JP3D, who, if you follow Ken Patterson, at the St. Louis RPM show last year, I think Joshua Barton interviewed this gentleman, and he does 3D printed very large grain elevators and other things as well. Grain silos, various building parts.
Let me answer any questions.
Jeffson, okay. Jeffson.
Now, one of my admittedly favorite companies, East Coast Circuits. They now have the, I think it's PX87 Fire Department of New York fire trucks with all sorts of LED lights added. And I would be very willing to bet that these are all to spec as to what the actual Fire Department of New York has on their fire trucks. Small police car here. More fire trucks and other vehicles, some with more lights than others. And that's quite the loaded up Suburban or Expedition. One of the new things that they're introducing,
They got me out
they
last
let me do
Friday,
this,
and they got me a 25-hour
is
the other night.
Pennsylvania position light signals. I believe the single target light is available now. The double target is fourth quarter, and the dwarf is early next year. I'm told the dwarf is now in stock, so 2 out of the 3 in stock. And they are beautiful. They've also got, if you've ever been at an accident site or a construction site, you'll frequently see these LED light poles now set up to temporarily provide light to anywhere. And I did a first look on the stick light.
What? I'm wondering, because I had a few questions.
All right. And we'll go see some of their other displays here. This is a kind of experiment for me. I've never gone live before that I can remember. Sundance Marketing, home of all of the pins. They generally make most of the pins that are used for the various conventions. Azatrax, which makes signaling systems. And we'll continue on. So Motrack Models here does laser cut structures. As well as organization stuff. Various paint bottle holders. Shelves. And general paintbrush and other organizations. Parts holders. And this is apparently an authentic replica of a genuine location somewhere in New England. It's a cute little building. And tenements. And there's Jeff himself. The CK Hobby Supply, one of the larger vendors here. Golden Spike Artisans Group with lit mirrored signs and other items. A nice little layout there too. And the Scale Trains was announced today. Another museum quality locomotive, the SD45X. So we'll have 2 Southern Pacifics. And I see 3 EMDs, but I'm pretty sure I saw 4 earlier. They also have the Pullman Standard 5820 covered hoppers in N scale. Got another run of Thrall Trinity 42 foot single hood coil steel cars coming out. I believe these may have been some exact rail cars. They've got another run of them coming. And the PC 7633 appliance box cars are available for pre-order. And we continue walking. This is an HO scale modular group over here. I'm not sure they're actually running. They've been having electrical issues today, unfortunately. I do hope they're able to get running soon. Home shops over here with Tangent, Intermountain, and possibly other cars. I think Tangent, oh yes, Tangent, Intermountain, Class 1 Model Works cars done up in, call it private road names. Basically, they are model railroads that they've done professional and factory paint jobs on. And the new release they will have in about a week is the Tangent 40-foot high cube appliance box cars in these paint schemes, to include one with a rather dubious abbreviation. Chris Palmieri back there. And we have Mac Rail maker of a lot of detail parts. He appears to be a whiz with a 3D printer. Go back a little bit. Leslie Eaton is here with Ask the MMR. She has manned this booth for, I don't know, I think since I started coming here in 2008 and probably years prior to that. She will answer pretty much anything you throw at her. Okay, walking. We're approaching Atlas on one side.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. So Atlas has on display the CNCF 5000 box car, available soon, fourth quarter. The Cortec 3000 covered hopper, Trinity 3230s, which are available now. They just got them in. GP40s. Some really big O-scale stuff, including new 40 and 53 foot rebuilt well cars. Right. Reindeer Pass Railroad. One of the vendors here, located next door to Pico. And as you can see, they're advertising that they're producing the Kraus Mafia ML4000 diesel hydraulics. They've got the Sprinter DMUs. I think that's a Whitcomb product. They were World War II locomotives anyway. And here, actually, I hadn't seen this before, is a test sample of the Kraus Mafia locomotive. That's pretty nice looking there. Railsmith, I believe they bought the N-scale passenger car lines from Walthers and have continued to produce new cars and new paint schemes. And they have several name trains going simultaneously. Okay. Now we get to the Cato or Cato. I'm not sure which booth. Hello. And Cato believes in showing their products in motion. I like that. Although I'm not sure what I think about Godzilla here. I think that's a Series 700 Shinkansen. One thing that Cato introduced is these really micro modules. And they actually had a clinic on building them at the convention this year. These are not those. These are just ones that they're using to demonstrate what you can do with these things. You can see here several of the bare modules, straight and curved, in foam. Looks like probably printed, 3D printed resin or 3D printed filament and wood, depending on what you might decide to do with it. Okay, Lundy Studios, those structure kits. I believe these are urethane, but they do have several nice looking buildings. Micromark is Micromark. If they don't have it, it probably hasn't been invented as a tool yet. Heartland Hobby Wholesale is also Rock Island Hobby, which is a fairly new manufacturer. Let's see, assorted cars with front and rear lights or without lights. And I'm willing to bet those are priced appropriately for building up an auto rack. And something new.
It's probably 50 years ago.
Okay.
And what was so funny is we went out
Rail
like
Center
there,
looks like it's ammo paints,
So it was the trailer,
and they're doing to do them in railroad colors.
two sisters,
So
and my parents.
looks like we've got another paint manufacturer on the scene.
Was that 1975?
Cub Scouts.
But we won't have to wonder if it's Santa Fe red or what. That will be nice. Okay, Kim's Trains, A&S Trains, Humana, which I think is medical insurance, medical and dental, based on the sign. Another retailer. If we go out here, we've got another an N-scale layout this time. I have videotaped or GoPro'd, I guess would be a more appropriate way of putting it, all of the layouts so far. So they are all on chip. And another vendor. There's a lot of vendors here this year. Visit Cleburne, one of the local cities. The Railway and Locomotive Historical Society. Tucson Rail Trains from Tucson, Arizona. That's a couple of states away. And something that's generally a welcome sight at any of the shows is the tool man type sales. Hobbytools.com in this case. So if you need any sorts of tweezers, knives, magnifiers, weird clamps, he's likely got it. I'll have to visit back here later. Then we get to the Athearn booth. And Athearn has just announced, excuse me, sir, that they're going to be doing the the ICC CA11, CA11A, and CA12 cabooses in N and HO. They'll be doing Beth Gons or Berwick bathtub Gons in N and HO. And this guy, who I'm nicknaming Son of Hustler, the Republic Locomotive RX 500 AC. Interesting thing about this, the prototype is limited to a maximum of 10 miles per hour. And apparently they're going to try and do that for the model as well. Should be interesting. We have Pico. And I think I'm just going to stay to this side for the second. The track people from England. Jacksonville Terminal Company. With all sorts of containers. Wow. Looks like they've been having people looking for them. these would be something that I need to come back and take a look at because these are their 60-foot flat cars. Pullman standard 60-foot flat cars. A little more information right there. They've got some interesting, whoops, back up, tractors for semi trucks, or towing container chassis and that sort of thing. Took a couple different models there. And a wide variety of containers, refrigerated containers, and you name it all. And now they also have HO scale in a variety of paint schemes. So we got RS laser kits from Missouri here. Richard Shepard and KD. So, does anybody want to guess how many couplers fit in a pint jar? All I can tell you is I'm betting the number is really high. Next over is Intermountain, with a familiar face in the model railroad industry. No, not him. This is James Regier of Model Railroad Hobbyist and the What's Neat Show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's a text message.
So we also got Chris Palomares. He's now working for Intermountain.
Go Team Red.
And as you can see, Intermountain's now stocked up with all sorts of wheel sets, a variety of cars in HO and N scale, locomotives, and they promised me that there are even more on the way. And if you need a lanyard, they've got those too. All right. Matt Gentry from Rapido. And it's the Rapido booth, where we've got the CN and CP intermodal flat cars, the GP9 RMs with their slugs, all the test samples. I believe these are M420. No, M420s are over there. So I'm not exactly sure what those are, quite honestly. I am not up on my Canadian locomotive identification, and for that I apologize. The Procore 30,000 or 3,000 cubic foot sodium chloride hoppers. They're pretty sharp looking hoppers. The NSC 73 foot center beams in
really
N
fine.
and HO.
Yeah.
The guy that I can't keep from running into, Otto Vondrak of Railroad Model Craftsman, and it's either Railroad and Railfan or Railfan and Railroad, and Lionel doesn't know either.
Yeah, we haven't decided how we're going to arrange that yet, but good to see everyone.
All right. They just got in the test samples of the GE C30-7s. We've got multiple cab variations with both 2 windows and 4 windows,
Please forward this to me.
antenna variations, exhaust variations. You've got 2 types of exhaust there. If I knew which one of these was the Norfolk and Western version, it has triple class brakes on it. So 3 brake cylinders. That might also be the one here that has the cab winterization window. And I think it's the Santa Fe next door that has the air conditioner and full anti-climbers. They have resin test shots of the C40-3 caboose and the GP40 with the slug that will be with it.
This is for NSF 2345 today. Good job.
Test samples of a boxcar model, which is probably an SP something or another, at a guess. The F40 PHM-2 with its really funny looking nose.
Oh, you've insulted it.
Yeah, they just want you to
It's from Chicago, it doesn't care. And you can compare that to another, is that the GP or the F59 or PH?
F40
Is that
something. F40, I think it's an F40 PHM.
Is that the,
I don't know.
is that the -3 one or something?
This is a -2, isn't
Right.
it?
But
Yeah,
they
that's
rebuilt
-2.
they rebuilt F40 PHs, I think.
It's one of those alphabet soup locomotives. They
Right. Ask
mess
Jason.
around with the model designations. And I wish they'd come up with something sensible.
This looks like a GP38.
It does look like it. It probably isn't.
It probably isn't.
It probably is.
It's interesting. They have two different exhaust stacks.
Yeah, one has the exhaust stack is in the vent, dynamic brake vent.
Oh, okay.
The only railroad that ever had that,
Interesting.
at least that I found.
I always love how Santa Fe sticks all their antennas up on platforms, ground planes.
Yeah.
All the first locomotives, a bunch of GP39s that my prototype bought, are all like Santa Fe, so they've all got those too.
Oh yeah.
So what are our test samples in N scale here?
This is the Santa Fe 50-foot mechanical refrigerator car. This is, what is this?
A covered hopper.
Where'd Matt go? Yeah, it's a covered hopper. I think it's a plastic pellet car. CP cabooses. Canadian ore cars with the roof on top to keep the taconite from freezing.
Right.
This is the pressure differential covered hopper. And General Electric, wait for it, Dash 840 CM.
Okay, is that what the two samples over there are as well?
I believe
in HO?
so.
Okay, I couldn't ID them.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are GE-840s, CMs. And we've got the full set of 44-tonners. Soon to arrive at a hobby shop near you, hopefully.
Well, I wouldn't say soon.
What is the anticipated? Okay.
This I think is the third iteration we've seen, and we're still making a few more tweaks.
All right. And these mixed door box cars are...
That is the Canadian National NSC 5304 cubic foot combination door box car.
Okay. And the ones on the end here that I see...
A variety of...
these,
those.
If they're painted, I figure they're out. I'm interested in ones that aren't.
Okay. These two are Pacific Fruit Fruit Growers Express R7 wood reefers, which are basically the same, although converted into reefers, as the Pennsylvania X23 box cars.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you.
Same distinctive side pattern.
Side bracings, yes. All right. Thank you very much.
Look at my bill.
And off we go. What's next door here? It is not ESU, despite the sign. It's the Katy Railroad Historical Society. All right, and then we have the ESU booth, which is very bright, to put it quite simply. And if you ever wondered how many different decoders ESU made, there's the answer. And we got the ASU Ecos Command Station. Which, I gotta admit, it's impressive. 2 controls. And a detector circuit, a servo circuit, and an extension pack for something. I'm not entirely sure. A switch pilot. I'd have to look up what those actually were. And we have the famous Spring Creek model trains of Deschler, Nebraska. Which is one big store that I probably need to visit later, but my wife probably wishes I wouldn't. And I'm almost convinced if they don't have it, it's not being made and sold on retail. Let's see. We have another vendor here. Doesn't have any names up that I can see. Where do we have this weird place? I don't know these people. Do you? Anybody else know these people? We've got the Model Railroad Hobbyist booth with Patty, that James guy again, Jeff Palmer, and Joe Fugate, who's turning to get away from me as fast as he possibly can, I think. Snack time. These are interesting. These layouts are actually built on bicycle tires, and they are powered entirely by the locomotives. It's Newton's law in effect. The action of the locomotive driving forward is pulling the layouts backwards, which is why they will stay basically in the same place once they get balanced out, because they fight gravity a little bit. This is actually the second train on here I've seen. I think there was a steam train earlier. Let's see, we've got a rather involved layout here with a steam-powered sawmill in the middle there. Say locomotive here on the end. Here comes a train. Up a very steep incline. I mean, this is pretty level camera-wise. So, that's a good hill they're going up. Alrighty. And we have the kids' play area out here, which has been very busy all day long. A couple more vendors along the back way here. Brad's Trains is this one here. And the one at the end is, looks like a used train vendor with a variety of equipment and other things. All right, so we've got the layouts. We'll make it to AZL over there, but it's a long walk, so we're going to go through a couple layouts before we do that. This is the tin plate trackers. I think the track they use, I believe, is called K-Line. And that is an awful lot of it. Alrighty, so a tank car unit train as such. The Texas Special is going to be passing by us here as we go through Christmas. And a variety of scenic elements. Miss Molly's Diner is from Woodland Scenics. I recognize it. It's available in at least 3 scales that I know of. And this is the other side.
Let me get the mic. I'm watching. Ooh,
Okay, you're not on yet? Okay. Excuse me. So, quite an extensive collection of buildings, structures. Some of those vehicles, I'm pretty sure, are on the fairly rare list. The Pepsi plant at the end, I'm pretty sure, is a Menards model. And on the end is
out of here, so I was wondering if
a circus scene. So, turning around from the biggest, sort of, at least one of the largest ones here, to some of the smallest. Although there is Z-scale here too. But this is T-Track, which is that newest N-Track, N-scale standard of using basically 1 foot square-ish modules to build a tabletop railroad out of. And some of the people who build these modules get downright imaginative. There's various Pikachus and other Pokemon figures on this one. Godzilla's in the background. We have the night bus going through downtown London, the Weasley's house, Hogwarts, of course. And then there's a variety of others. This is the Albuquerque train station, for instance, right here. I'm not sure what the globe in back is. I feel like I should recognize it. Most of the side over there is Star Wars. This particular area is Mill Valley, I believe it's called. Yes, Mill Valley, a little place where a DeLorean down here is attempting to snag a wire at exactly the right moment. So we've got a brass vendor over here. The train tracks platform overview. So this looks like an RFID tag tracking system where you can track your cars and whatnot as they roll over sensors in the track of your layout. Then we've got Z, and I need one of these stickers.
Thanks, Rob. Good talking to you guys.
So you've got the El Capitan in front, the city of something in the back, I'm sure.
Los Angeles.
City of Los Angeles in the back with extra cars. I am still astonished that they've made something that small in Z-scale. But there was something even smaller in the contrast term this year. So it looks like you've got on the path to release SD50, SD60M, and the SD60.
And These are our first color samples of the SD40s and the SD40T2s. Those will be coming out by the end of the year.
All right. So if you're a tunnel motor fan in Z-scale, your locomotives are on the way. Thank you. All right, that's pretty much it for the vendors and industries. Let's just take a walk around and look at some of the layouts. I'm not going to do a real close walk up since I've already done that, and I'll be making those videos available over the next couple nights. It's more T-track there. This is the Corpus Christi Gulf Western Club. I've seen them a couple of times, and their possibly most famous modules is in the oil refinery, with an uncounted amount of lights, helped on by the fact it's mounted against a mirror. And you've got other southern Texas style industries, including oil loading platforms. Now let's watch this go by. BNSF grain train. Behind the big Santa Fe sign here, we have a Santa Fe ABBA set of, I'm going to assume they're F7s. And that headlight, by the way, is an actual gyro light. I have seen it working. And those locomotives are quite loud when they fire up. I don't know if it's their speakers or if there's just some very deep sounding motors in those things, but they sort of make the building rattle. The Wisconsin and Michigan Model Railroad Club is a frequent visitor to the National Train Show. I saw them last year in St. Louis. I'd seen them in previous years in other places. And they have a well done modular layout. That is one long, I guess it's an ore train or a rock train. I've never seen a rock train with mid-train helpers though. There's two Lego layouts here this year. This is the larger of the two. The Texas Brick Railroad. It's kind of interesting in that it also contains an airport with a variety of airplanes inside. And a helicopter or two around as well. The ingeniousness of the Lego people is just mind-boggling. How they come up with all these, I have no idea. Whoa. Wouldn't want to get in the way of that train.
That one's going fast.
One more vendor for the kids. And Z-scale over here, with one exception. You might see next to the loop of track a kind of a small mountain. And this is T-scale. T. What scale is actually T-scale?
1 to 450.
1 to 450, which compares to Z's 1 to 220. Can you say really, really small? I know I can. It's really, really small. Because when Z-scale looks big in relation to anything, it's really, really small. You'll need to add another car to your rail box thing. And it's a modular Z-bend layout here. Okay. Let's see now. These folks have a N scale layout on one side and an HO scale on the other. And I'm kind of trying to save the best for last. And the best is, interestingly enough, N-track. Because it's not just, it's all N-track as in N-rail. Here's the other Lego layout. But what it is a Fremo N layout connected to an N-track layout connected to a T-track layout. And the way they're doing this is through two helixes, because they've got height differences. Fremo N is at a fairly high level, chest high to most people, or even higher. N-track is somewhat lower. That's an outstanding bridge module. And this is the most interesting N-track layout I've ever seen, simply because it's not just three parallel tracks doing nothing but running in parallel. At least the third track frequently goes off and does other things or splits into other tracks. And how they keep track of how this is constructed, I have no idea, because it's wild. There's at least 2 or 3 different peninsulas that are part of this, or big loops, as well as extensive storage tracks. So let's continue on our way around here. And like I said, I have already taken my GoPro around and shot all of these layouts, so those videos will be available in the next day or so as I get them edited and uploaded. But like I said, it's huge. It is simply huge. It's like the N-track people, in honor of both their 50th anniversary. They started in 1973. And perhaps in the face of the challenge from Fremo, the HO side, who were building these enormously massive layouts at various get-togethers, well, they took up the challenge to build an enormously massive layout of their own. And it's downright impressive. I'm just going around the outside. I'm missing several parts of it with this tour. So, here we go. From N-track, we drop down another helix into T-track. The second T-track layout here, which is a multi-person, multi-group one. That one is actually World War II themed, it would appear, since those are B-17s on the back wall. And this is Oklahoma. It's, I forget the name of the county. It begins with the letter C, and it's the one that's in the Panhandle, and the next county over is New Mexico. And this represents the highest location. I don't think that's completely on track. I think your well car here is off the track a bit. It's rattling. Anyway, the red marker is the highest location in the state of Oklahoma. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just making noise. This is an unusual little locomotive. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I am fairly sure that the prototype was much larger. Whoa. Check this out. We got a bullet train coming through. Not something you expect to see in Oklahoma. But so they got that full, basically loop here, including the cut over to the helix. And then it also goes this way. Through a yard. And to another loop, or multiple loops even. And another display also of scales from Z on up to G to the G, probably 129. And that is pretty much it for my almost hour-long, I'm at 56 minutes, 49 seconds, walkthrough of the National Train Show here in Gaylord Resort, Texas, Gaylord Texas Resort here in Grapevine, Texas. And in case you're curious, this is Carhenge, which is an actual location in Alliance, Nebraska. Pretty amazing, huh? All right. Well, thank you for going along with me. And I hope you tell other people about this if you enjoyed it. And we will see you soon. Bye now. If I can figure out.